It was a
It was
complete.
cool to see her jerk his grandpa off. Yeah.
That was hilarious. I was not gonna say that, but that was
I'll
really
say it.
funny. That was so funny. Him walking in on him getting a handy.
Yeah. He
And then
planned
he
that.
marries. Yep. And then he marries that girl. Hey everyone, my name's Nick.
And I'm Ray. Today we're going to be talking about book 3 of the Lightbringer series, The Broken Eye.
I enjoyed this book a lot. This book got real metaphysical. I gotta say, it was. It was sometimes it was hard to follow, but I found it just as fun and action packed as the last one, even though there wasn't as much like action, like physical action, you know. But yeah, it drew me in the whole time. I listened to this book on audiobook in 3 days. So I was, I was going hard.
This is a solid offering. I think book 3 is one of the stronger books in the series, and a big part of that is the Great Library sequence. Heavy spoiler alert. Kip dying and then being brought back to life with good old Peril, right? Tia, now an assassin, right? She's a double agent. Right, for the White. Gavin finally got married. Dazen and Karis finally got married, and then they all thought he was dead instantly. So that was cool, you know?
Yep. That was cool.
And then Kip's just kind of like fully coming into himself through his Moses walk.
Yeah, Kip has had a really fantastic character development go underway. And I really enjoyed the character development for Tia in this book as well. I thought it was fantastic.
What about Liv?
Liv is the only thing, as I'm reading Tia, I'm like, man, this is what Liv should have been. Yeah. Liv is terrible. Tia's awesome.
It just doesn't get better for Liv.
Yeah, because Liv she turned coat, right? She went onto the Color Princess side. But it wasn't like Tia is put in a situation where she's shown power. She is shown what the Order of the Broken Eye can do. And they're like, hey, we go invisible. We murder people. Here's actually like the secrets that we know that no one else knows. You know, we're
kind of badass.
We're kind of cool.
Yeah.
You could join us and do all of this badass stuff too. And she still decides to turn her back on it.
Yep.
And decides to work for Chromaria still, even though she knows there's a lot wrong with it.
Yeah.
And Liv was just like, oh, you're going to offer me power? Oh, yeah. Oh, I get to become a goddess? Yes, please. I love power. I would love to be a part of your side.
Yeah, Liv fucking sucks. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. It didn't get better in this book.
Nope.
And I'll spoil it. It doesn't get better. It just doesn't. I'm not going to go into details. It just doesn't get better.
Yeah,
for her.
That's fine.
Now, as for all the characters here, Kip, I think, really, really shines this book, character development wise. And same with Gavin. Dazen has a ton of character development with literally God telling him what's wrong with him, right? Not literally God, but you know, almost. His name is that of God.
Yeah.
So it'd be like a dude named Jesus, and it's pronounced Jesus, not Jesus. You know, Jesus is like, hey, dude, I'm a prophet. Essentially, I'm not Jesus, but like I'm basically Jesus, but this guy's Jesus, like straight up, right? And Dazen and the Gunner banter, I love that. You know, honestly, I like their interactions the whole time.
Yeah.
But Dazen's really coming to terms with like, oh, I'm kind of a huge fucking piece of shit a little bit. You know, maybe I should be better. And these dreams I'm having are kind of like, shit, there's no way this dude's a prophet. But then he's like, wait, you're sending these dreams my way, aren't you? So you kind of believe he is, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's really wrestling with his inner demons, right? Seeing that he is a piece of garbage and he's realizing it, but he doesn't know what to do about it at this point. And he's still kind of
defensive.
Yeah, he still is. Yeah, he hasn't let his guard down completely. And man, he gets messed up in this book. Loses an eye, loses like 2 or 3 fingers, just cut up, bruised up everywhere.
It's not a good book for him.
Then ends with him in his prison cell that he had made for his brother. Like,
yep.
You know, we start with Dazen in a really likable point. And we see that he hasn't always been like this. So a lot of the stuff that is happening to him, it might honestly, he might deserve it. Yeah. But at this point, it's like, man, I wish he wasn't going through this because he doesn't deserve it.
You see, you remember on the first book when I was like, I love the fact that Kip starts off as this weakling and gets, the character development a lot stronger. And Dazen starts off as basically just omnipotent, right? And he gets hammered down. This book is really what I was referring to. This is the big start of it, right? It's not a little beatdown. It's not he's slowly losing his power. He got fucked this book.
Yeah. One thing I didn't quite like that happened right at the end of book 2, Dazen introduces himself to Gunner as Dazen.
Yep.
And then it felt like Brent Weeks was just like, ooh, I actually shouldn't have done that. And then at the beginning of this book, he's like still calling himself Gavin. And he's like, ooh, I shouldn't have done that. That was a mistake. I'm like, man, I wish he would have just kind of gone with it. Because I feel like it would have been a lot cooler where he has like that inner turmoil where he's still thinking of himself as Gavin, but he wants to be Dazen now. Now that he's no longer the Prism and no longer a drafter even.
I think this book really hammers home his inability to accept it. All the lies Orhelm kept telling him he was telling aren't lies to other people. It's the lies he's telling himself. He's unable to come to terms with it, and that's why he keeps lying as his defense mechanism. But real quick, I just want to focus on the Moses walk. Moses walked for 40 days, no food, no water. Kip walked 40 days, no food, no water.
Yeah.
And look what happened.
Was it 40 days?
He came clad in light, right, to some random chick. And now he's buff, right? He lost a bunch of weight, and he learned a ton of drafting abilities. He learned how to draft a lot better during it. But that hallucination-fed walk he had, I think, really allowed him to go back to the Chromeria like a way better version of himself. So he dealt with Andros in way better ways.
It was really cool. And that whole sequence where he's like unconscious and then he kind of wakes back up, but he's hallucinating and then he goes unconscious again. And he's doing all this stuff. I had to listen to a couple of those sections multiple times because it was a little hard to follow. I was like, wait, is this real? Like, what is real and what is not real in this whole thing?
That's what he was thinking too.
Yeah, really. But I thought it was really cool him coming back and just being so much more sure of himself and just he's not able to go toe to toe with Andros Guile, but he's able to get some wins.
Yep.
And
little
it's
wins.
Sure, he's not as good as him yet, but he's getting there.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. It was, he comes back and he forces his grandfather to publicly acknowledge him into the family.
Not only that, he goes there thinking his grandpa's a white,
right,
and he just takes it in stride that, oh no, he's not anymore. Doesn't even bring it up, just doesn't even let him slow him in step. He just waits and goes and talks to him later, and he still brings it up. He's like, bitch, we knew what you were. We knew what you were. Yeah. Somehow you're not. Whatever. We know I wasn't wrong.
Yep.
So
yeah,
I love this book for Kip's development. I really do. Him and Tia, kind of putting their feelings out there for each other a little bit.
Tia's not putting her feelings out there for him.
Yeah, but he did.
You're totally right. That stuff made me mad. Whenever Kip is like, trying to show that he has feelings, and he's a child, right? Is he still 15 or is he 16 now?
He's probably 16
and 17 in 10 months, I think he said at one point. So he's not good at it, but he's still trying. And he hugs her and she can't reciprocate, and people are shooting him down left and right. Karis makes this comment like, oh, you're like my son, ha ha ha. And then she's like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And then he calls her mom, and she's like, I'm not your fucking mom. Like, oh, man. Kip's just getting shot down by all the women in his life. That
part was kind of, I was like, oh, Karis, what are you doing? Also, don't call her mom. She's not your mom, bro. Just call her stepmom.
Well, I mean,
hey, stepmom.
Yeah. Well, she made the joke about it, first of all. So she set him up. He went to go alley-oop him, and then... she smacked him in the she hit him right where it hurts. So I I understand why it happened, but it still made me mad.
Agreed.
So whenever Kip like actually goes through with the marriage with Tysus, I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm so
No.
happy that he went through that marriage, and it was cool to see it was
It was
complete.
cool to see her jerk his grandpa off. Yeah.
That was hilarious. I was not gonna say that, but that was
I'll say
really
it.
funny. That was so funny. Him walking in on him getting a handy.
Yeah. He
And then
planned
he
that.
marries. Yep. And then he marries that girl. Uh-huh.
I was rooting for Kip when he married her. I was like, hell yeah, dude, he's got a
Yeah.
hot noble lady.
But I was gonna say it was cool to see like immediately after it was a completely political marriage to him, where he's like, all right, you can go back to your home country of what is it, Wrath, right? Or your home city of Wrath, and we're gonna go to the Blood Forest. So if you want to come, you can come with me, but you're able to go home too. The marriage is still a thing, but I don't really care what you do.
Yeah.
So it was, it shows how much he grows from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
I want to say as well, there were a few times where I thought Kip was just a little too mean, where it was like it felt out of character, where he was just being like overly mean to people to get his way. But I think it was fine. He is a guile, and he's coming into it. He's learning how to deal with being in power in that situation. So I think it was okay.
Yeah, he's really growing into himself as a guile. I mean, he's huge now, as big as ever was, right? He's fucking great drafter. He's really smart and ingenious as well with drafting, right? In the same way that Gavin Dazen is, all the guiles are. And I see why he's being mean. I think it makes a lot of sense for him, especially because, dude, he's had a shit life. I mean, I'm sure he's got a lot of pent-up anger in him. But also just dealing with Andros, man, I'd be at my wit's end, too. Like, I really would. I'd be like, this fucking old bastard. And then he literally gets fucking... He dies, literally. Absorbs all those lives, right? All those memories. You get fucking shot into his near-perfect memory that the guiles have, right? And not only that, he has to fight a fucking immortal in a place called Abaddon, or Abaddon, however you want to fucking say its name.
Oh, is that... Abaddon, yeah.
Yeah.
And Abaddon calling him, what's the...
Diacoptes.
Diacoptes,
which means I'm pretty sure means breaker, literally.
Yeah, well, yeah. So right? I mean, because that was, man, who was because they're looking for the reincarnation of the dude before. What's his name?
The Lightbringer.
No, not the Lightbringer. He was the Light.
Lucidonius.
Thank you. Diacoptes was Lucidonius's name. Yeah. Right. Or that's how he derived his name, and then so exactly. So Kip is supposed to be the reincarnation of Lucidonius as the Lightbringer.
Yeah, Lucidonius, Breaker. The prophecy basically is what I'm alluding to here. Starting to look like Kip.
Yeah, and for a while there, I was really afraid that it was going to be like this bait and switch where it was looking like Kip, but then it was actually going to be Dazen after all. But it looks like it's so far in Kip's favor that couldn't happen.
You know who it is? It's Simon, right?
Simon? That would be pretty crazy.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Abaddon sequence was super interesting to me. And then he got the super shimmer cloak from it.
Yep. And Abaddon also had the revolver, and he's like, oh, I should have grabbed the gun.
Yeah. And said I grabbed the best thing ever.
Yeah.
For Tia.
Yeah. He immediately gives it to Tia, which is kind of crazy.
Love, man.
Seriously, very selfless of him. Yeah. Even though Tia can apparently already make herself invisible, she just doesn't quite know how yet, right? Yeah. So does she necessarily need that better shimmer cloak?
I don't think so.
Yeah, even at this point, I don't think she does. It's just like she doesn't quite know how to use her mist walking abilities. So
mist walking is I'm pretty sure light splitting.
Well, no, I think they're separate, right? Because I think mist walking is a thing specific to peril drafters, right? It's at least that's what Tia says she thinks it means, because peril drafters create like this cloud of mist, and that cloud of mist breaks up the light around her.
Okay, no, it has nothing to do with light splitting.
Okay.
No. Oh, hold on. This one says Tia is red green colorblind and also a light splitter. Because of her ability to split light, Tia is inducted into the Order of the Broken Eye and taught how to use a shimmer cloak.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the mist walking is what is like been lost to Peril drafters, and she kind of figures out how to do that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, also kind of crazy though in this one, it seems like Dazen figures out how to draft Black Luxem at will. He doesn't actually do it, but it seems like he's got that trigger in his brain to be able to do that.
So you think he can draft black, huh?
I do. I mean, I know he has before for sure, right? And he was the one in the Black Luxem card that one of the people Kip saw.
So he can draft black, white, all the base colors. What about Peril? Can he draft Peril? Do we know?
It was never mentioned, and I feel like even though Peril is not well known, it was known, so I feel like if he could, he would know.
I'll be honest, books 3 and 4 blended together for me because
really?
I'm already starting to read book 4 again. Do they mention the last color in this book yet?
Is it Chi?
Yeah.
They don't mention it, but there was a part where it was like when Tia's in the circle whenever they're doing the light bending test, and they said we don't have any Chi drafters here, so that's why I knew.
So yeah,
but that's the only mention of it.
Chi's the last color. But cool, they mentioned it, so that's all.
They did. Yeah, they did mention it at one point. Okay. It was really funny when Dazen jumped off the ship and he's just swimming through shit, getting attacked by like 7 sharks.
Yeah.
And he escapes all that, and then a dolphin comes and fucks him up.
Yeah.
That was
he
funny.
he had a real bad string of events, man.
Dude,
he is not having a good time.
These past 2 books, he's been getting really beat down.
Yeah,
like
he is. And now he's in a fucking prison.
Yeah. And then all the Iron Fist and Tremble Fist stuff, man, that was like, it was sad all the way through it. Like whenever Iron Fist is asking the questions, and then like the trainees are breaking down how Tremble Fist let him win, and he never knew that, and it like makes him break down crying. That was pretty sad.
I'm a big fan of Tremble Fist and Iron Fist.
Yeah, both. And it sucks too because you love Iron Fist so much, and then you feel a little betrayed at the end here. Where it's like, oh man, he's been working for the Order the whole time? No way.
Yep.
Like,
what do they have on him?
Well, yeah, I just assumed the leader is his uncle, right? The leader of the Order is Grimwoody, and Grimwoody is his uncle. Or at least he calls him uncle. So I don't know if that was a term of endearment or if.
Yeah. How about that though? The old man of the forest, fucking Grimwoody, dude.
Dude. Yeah, Grimwoody is a plant, and that was
so much shit happened this book, didn't it?
It was a lot. It was so much, and then the whole Kip and the Blackguard escape scenes, like Karis becomes the White, and it was
Spy Mistress right before.
Yeah, that whole thing. This book, I really enjoyed this book. I like this book better than the last book, actually.
As do I. This book was very, very fat, very fast. It definitely said we're not pulling a 3-book little break to tie everything back together. We're gonna throw some shit at the fucking wall and see what happens. Grinwoody, fucking assassin master. Karis, you're the White now. Dazen, you're in your own fucking prison built. Fuck it, why not? Kip, guess what? You're fucking hot now. You're buff. You got a crew, right? You're married. Pretty dope.
You're the Lightbringer.
Yeah. Andros, you're the Promachus now. You're the commander-in-chief, the dictator, right?
Yeah.
Like, so much fucking happened in this book. I loved it.
Yeah. There's a lot. And then even that, you didn't mention the Locust immortal god dude, and then the librarian keeper who's like also an immortal lady seeming.
Told you to remember her name.
Yeah, I don't remember her name, but luckily they did mention, hey, you're the librarian.
Rhea Solis.
Yeah,
like that.
I know. And he asked after her, and the librarian was like, who you asking after Fables? What do you mean? But yeah, this book there was a lot that happened, but I enjoyed it.
It felt proper, too. It didn't feel out of place. A ton happened, It all felt natural to itself for the most part.
This is a book where I could immediately go back and just like read it again before moving on, just to see what I missed. Like there was so much that happened. I'm like, man, there's got to be stuff I missed that is really important. So this was a fantastic addition to the series, and it was great.
Your favorite
It
book
was
so
a really
far?
good one. Favorite one so far, which is good. That's really good whenever one is like, oh, this is good, and then 2 comes around, it's like, oh, it's better, and 3, oh, it's even better. Like,
The next
like
book is my
seeing-
favorite in the series.
Really? Well, we'll see.
It goes like 4, 3, 5, 2, 1 for me, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear. I'm excited for it, and I can't wait to start reading it.
Yeah, this is the next book. Fucking solid. The last book, pretty fucking solid until there's an ending thing, but pretty fucking solid still.
That makes me nervous, man. It sucks whenever
It's
you
still
have,
super fun.
It's just not as satisfying as it could be, maybe, or
I mean, it could actually be really satisfying for you, and we'll talk about it when book 5 ends, because I actually have a take on it that I actually think is a really, really unique take on the questions posed for the book series.
Okay.
So in the series, you love the book, cool, but as a book as a whole, what are your thoughts? A solid top book?
Yeah, I thought this one was great. And might I say, I was pleasantly surprised and pleased that there was not a he toned back the amount of what would you call it, smut in this one. There was
gingerly suckled on her teeth.
I know. There was still a few things, but it was funny, like him walking in on his grandpa getting a handy, him being barged into on the bath or in the bathhouse. It's like it was all fun, it was all tasteful, and it was fine. I was totally fine with everything that happened. Nothing made me overly uncomfortable this time. So
that is good.
Thank you, Brent.
All in all, fantastic series. I love this book. It's probably my second favorite in the series. So in the comments below, let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you guys enjoyed this book. If you didn't enjoy this book, what your takes are, what your predictions are. Let us know. Right? Out.
Thanks for watching. Hey, Nick here. If you enjoyed this video, please gently caress that like button for us.
And Ray, thanks for watching. It was a blast. Make sure to hit that subscribe if you want to stay up to date with what we're doing, what me and him are doing. There. Me and him, Nick and Ray. Subscribe.